Today I'd like to talk about flow coating and how it's just like going on a picnic. So grab your appetite and come with me. Well, like our friend would say, where's the picnic basket, boo-boo? Well, to go on this particular picnic, we don't need the basket. We just need some main contents from it. Mainly some plastic cups from your knife and fork and spoon set. Just need your plastic knives. But you also need, in my opinion, a steel metal spoon. So for our picnic, I'll have our cup and we'll have our plastic knife. Now, what we're going to have for the main course, it will be Flowcoat. This is the Flowcoat I'm here to talk to you today about, and it is the continuation for the cover. In the instructions on the Flowcoat, it says to use a brush or a spray gun. Now, if you've done any spraying, you soon realise that even with paint, there's a lot of clean up, a lot of thinners, that type of thing to clean the spray gun, the outside, your hand, overspray, spray in the air, mask. Now this particular stuff dries hard like iodine. So you don't want that in your hair or floating around all your equipment. So I ruled out the spray gun. The next bit was the brush. Now, as I had mentioned before, I was going to do this in different sides at different times. So that would mean I would need a lot of brushes. Plus, if you use brushes, and I'm sure you've painted and you know, get the cheap ones or the ones that aren't $1 million each, and you start painting away, you'll find the bristles start coming out. So I didn't want this covered in bristles. So then I thought, what can I do? What can I use? And then I come across the idea of plastic knife. Now, when you mix up resins, they're a bit like honey rather than water or milk. So, just like when you put on your jam or your honey on your toast or crumpets in the morning, the knife does the trick. Also, I wanted it fairly thick, so spraying would be fine. If you wanted if you do an inside of a mould, that's perfect. A brush would be good if you're laying the sheets down and you needed to push the resin into the cloth. Now, as you would have seen in the previous video, this was done by hand, and the No Mess Fibreglass had water activated resin in it. So my idea was to put a coat over the top, make it more solid and more durable. Now, did it work? Yes and no. I learned a few things. First of all, you've got to get yourself a set of digital scales, probably to 0.01 grams minimum. The reason for that is that you have your Flowcoat, and this is the MEKP hardener, and that's 15 mils, that's 500 grams. And when you read the instructions, the ratio is 15 mils to 2 cans of this. So you think, okay, so that means there is 0.015 mils per gram. That was the easiest way I worked it out. So then that way, what you do is you say, right, mix up a gram. If you mix up 10 grams, you only need 0.15 mils. Hence, you need to measure it out with the fine digital scales. So, plastic container, The method I used was to place this on the scales, zero the scales, scoop out as much as what I thought would cover one surface, then I would add that much in the drops. But the trouble was, when you're spooning it out, and that is why I use the metal spoon, when you're spooning it out, it stays, it drips over the scales, and actually the plastic parts of the scales, the cover, were being attacked and melted a bit and blended with the resin. So my advice from my experience is that put your scales down, put a thin piece of plastic on it, and put your empty cup on, weigh it. I think by memory this is about 37-40 grams, let's just say. Then take it off. Then in another work area, scoop out how much you think you need. Go back, put it on the scales, you know it's 40. If you put in, say, 30, you know, if it weighs 70, you know you put in 30. But a good idea is to scoop it up with your spoon, pour it in, let it drip off as much as you can, some will stay on it, and weigh that. And one spoon was 8 grams. So then I knew that if I worked out, okay, a spoon's this much, and I need probably 10 spoons, you know, you work out how many spoons you think you'll need, you say 10, that's 80 grams, okay. You then put in 80 grams, and the bit that's still left on the spoon, you can rest it on your tin. So you measure it, say right, 80 grams, you know that then is 80 times 0.015, and then you just put the drops in. I found here on the 0.01 scale, you needed about 3 or 4, maybe even sometimes 5 drops before it would register, and then it might go over 0.01, might go up to 0.02, not measuring the 0.01. So you get an idea. Then also with the knife, you mix it up, try not to be too violent, but you mix it up until it actually changes slight colour. The colour is a light amber, and it becomes a more of a creamy amber when you've mixed it enough. So you mix it, you get about 5 minutes. Then all what I did was that, just on the top, I poured it out, just like buttering your toast or applying jam or honey onto your toast. That's what I did. So then where there's thick areas, I sort of pushed it in. Now, some parts of this is only 1 layer thick, and other parts overlap, and other corners maybe 3 or 4 parts thick. So the trouble was, and it's a fairly open weave, you would put it on like icing a cake, and great. But then it would start to sag and be drawn through smaller holes. So you'll end up with a dimple. So you think, okay. But then when you spread it across, it would not flow in. It would look more like, say, wax on a melted candle. You'd sort of be a bit more lumpy. So that's the one thing I learned. The second bit is I had the release agents. Now this is plastic off a sandblaster. That's the protector. And I tried that, and this is also off a plastic packaging, so I tried a different one. I waxed it up, put it down, and now in these photos you'll see, put a board on the top, clamped it, add weights to push down inside, that sort of thing. Then when I pulled it off, some parts stuck and didn't come off. Yet you could peel those bits off with your finger. So they weren't permanently stuck, they were just stuck enough to rip the plastic. So then I would try another side, and I then got plastic that you use to put in your filing cabinets, you know, to put all your A4 sheets and all that. So I cut that up, waxed it both sides. This was for the corners. Put that in, put a board on, clamped it. But when I took it off, it had a ocean bottom or a sandy beach finish to it. The and you'll see better in the photos, this was actually affected by the resin. So one stuck, one wrinkled, another particular plastic filing one, one was clear, one was a bit of the frosty look. That worked out alright, but then in the end I just used wax paper and that worked fine. So how well did it work? Still flexible on the corners, but not too flexible. Fits on the mill fine. And the Flowcoat, yes, you can put it up like that and it does stay there. It does slightly slump down. On some sides I placed the board, clamped it, and where it was clamped and there was enough resin, come out beautiful. Mirror finish, flat. But as these photos show, there's just a few lumps. Now because I wound this by hand, it's up and down like a honeymooner's 90. And the trouble is, if I want to get it to be a showroom finish, I would probably have to put it 3mm, 4mm thick, sand it back, fill up the low spots, sand it back, polish it. Now, as this was an experiment, a foray into No Mess Fibreglass and Flowcoat, it's worked. It's not, the top come out fantastic, front come out pretty good. You have to do the corners, and as you do it, like I told you, where it's thinner, it'll drop through. So it works, it's waterproof, it's strong, and it's fine. However, if I was to do this again, perhaps I would just take the cloth and make up a proper form out of wood, square corners, all that. Spray the inside first with Flowcoat, cut the sheets up, lay them in dry, although they're semi-sticky when they come out, so they will dry even if you don't add water to them. So I would cut that up, feed them in, and even if they had dried, I would let them sit there dry. Then I would mix up the Flowcoat, push it in with a brush so it all stayed in there. And then perhaps I would get a airbag and put that on the inside, a couple of boards, and blow it out. Because the trouble with the G-clamps is they can fit on the edges, but they can't fit on the inside. And I had heavy weights sitting down pushing. The other thing I would also do is I would transfer the resin into a suitable container. I would check first if the plastic was compatible with it, because as we've seen with the sheets, some are, some aren't. And then all you have to do, pour it in, tighten it up, put it on your scales, squirt it in, turn it up, close it. No mess, no waste, no fuss. So this is going back on the top of the mill. As you can see in these photos, done the job. It's not showroom condition, but after being sprayed with oil and swarf for a few years, it will look fine. So top coat. May even be worthwhile trying it on your ABS or your PLA 3D printed objects to help give them a hard outer coating. But again, try a test piece first to see how it goes. It may melt, which you want a little bit, so you may be best off spraying it quickly, thin coat, just let it melt, and then it will make a barrier for the next top coats. So Flowcoats in a container with a knife and fork really turned out to be a picnic. So as usual, thanks for watching.